Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of, you guessed it, the Ability Warriors podcast. So, I'm sitting on my balcony, soaking in the sunshine, a typical summer day, and I came up with this idea of recapping my life in the next 7 days leading up to my birthday, my 29th birthday, and what I've learned over the 28 years so far that I've lived. So this is just my intro, and I want to I just want to start off by saying that I hope you guys can gain something from my downfalls and something from my triumphs over these next 7 episodes. This episode's probably going to be more about my innocence of my childhood and how it kind of evolved into this kind of whirlwind of golden nuggets of wisdom. And yeah, I think through the wisdom that I had, there was a lot of storms that I had to overcome. There was a lot of things that I had to come to terms with. And it's not really some of it's not really made for podcasting and putting it into the universe. Sorry, I can't talk today. But some of it, I think you guys would gain some insight to why I am the way that I am, the reason why I started this podcast, and just the way my life came about. And these may be a little longer, these may be a little shorter, depending on how much content I can give you guys, how much context is in the stories that I want to tell. But I think this first one is gonna kind of set the scene, if you will, for how idyllic my early childhood was. How I was like a superhero. How I could do no wrong. How I could be the light in my parents' eyes. How I could be born with all these challenges, but still overcome a lot, and still have that smile on my face. And as these episodes go along, that smile and that innocence kind of fades away. But I think the perseverance and the drive still sticks. I think that's the one thing that I've never lost, is that. because, yeah, I'm not the innocent, doe-eyed, like, 4-year-old that I was. But with age comes knowledge, right? So, and it becomes like a harsh reality. But that's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on the good parts. I want to focus on what I did take away from the early years. So, I think I want to start off by saying, try and keep as much of that childlike wonder that you can, because it'll help you in the creative field. It'll help you stay a dreamer. It'll help you not become so jaded and so pushed down by the world, and not letting your true self shine through. So yeah, that's my first tip. For the child, sorry, I have a lot of noise. For the childhood, section of this, is to just never lose sight of the things that shaped you and that you wanted to be growing up. Because I think somewhere in the back of our minds, we want to suppress, as we get older, we want to suppress the child impulses that we have, and to some extent we have to, because nobody's gonna take us seriously if we're just goofing around and doing what we used to. I think you gotta take the good with the bad with that one, because you still want to be you and you still want to be authentic, but you do need to grow up, and you do need to kind of infuse that wonder in combination with being an adult. Like, I'm starting to realize that, like, my dream of music and my dream of, like, making it big is still a big part of my heart. It's still a big thing that I think about every day, and it's a big thing that got me through a lot of trials and tribulations. It got me through quite a bit, and I never want to forget that. I never want to give that up. And the redhead guy kind of reminded me of that. He's like, hey, you still have those dreams. You should pursue them at any cost. And he's much more of a dreamer than I am. He's much more of a fly by the seat of your pants. No shade. Like, it's fantastic, because I need that in my life, because I am not like that at all. If you know me, I am paint by numbers. Like, you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. Like, you want to go through life, you gotta play by the rules, and you gotta do what you're gonna do. But he's been a great influence, and I love him to death, and he knows that. And so I just want to thank him. And so you gotta have those people also to kind of make you remember what your dreams are and still to follow them. Like, I remember when I was little, I used to carry around baby dolls and pretend I was a mother and pretend that I could take care of a child, and I had this doll, and I was so infatuated with it. Wow, I brought out my inner twang there. Sorry, guys. I thought it was real. I thought, hey, I'm gonna take care of this baby. Like, me and my friend would take our babies on walks, and we were not even that young. We were like, I'd say 8 or 9, and we would always like play mom and dad and house and all that kind of old school, like, you didn't really watch TV, but you went outside and just let your imagination run wild. Like, I think that's a big thing for me. Like, don't ever stifle your creativity. Don't ever think that just because, and this is advice for myself internally, like, don't ever think that you're not doing the right thing just because it's not the creative outlet that you thought you were gonna have. And because I thought by now I would have, like, I know this sounds very Hannah Montana-ish or very, like, idealistic, but I thought I was gonna have, like, a record deal, or, like, at least writing songs for famous people, or going to school for an education in music, in songwriting, and traveling all over the world, and just letting my creative juices flow. Because if you know anything about me, I have a binder of about 60 songs that I started when I was about, I think I was 13, 14, and I was sitting in my room with one of my good friends who now has, like, a whole family and is doing her thing, and I really do miss her. Shout out to Lizzie. But we used to make music videos. We used to do all that stuff because I don't know if she realized it, and I don't think she did, because she went on to, like, do more academia stuff, and I've always been not the academic person. I've always been the one to be like, I don't know how to put it, constructively creative. Like, I still have to have like structure, but I don't like, okay, this assignment is due on this day. Like, I don't like that feel of like you have no free-flowing will to be creative. You have to play by the rules. You have to do this certain thing. That's where my spontaneity comes in. That's where I feel the most free. When they just tell you, hey, here's this assignment. You have 8 to 10 weeks to accomplish it. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. That's when I thrive. That's when I'm like, okay, I got this. And I get it done in like 3 days. It's kind of amazing. And I miss that. I honestly miss being in that kind of environment where you're encouraged and not discouraged to be who you are. Like, I love music. I could bleed music, but for some reason, by the time I hit, I would say 16, that was like in the back of my mind, not so much in the forefront anymore. Like, I lost what I loved. I lost everything that gave me my breath. I lost it all. And I have had no inspiration for about 8 years. It's kind of sad. And I want to get that back. So if you're in the same boat that I am and you wanna get back to your roots and you want to write, you want to do screenplays, you want to do something out of the norm or something that follows the crowd, then go do it. Like, if you want to be a doctor, go do it. If you can remember back to when you were little, what was it that what you wanted so deep down in your core that right at this moment, you would give it everything up for? And I know probably you guys have your lives set out for you, but if you could just freeze time for a year until your birthday the next year, what would you do in that year that could light a fire under your butt and could get you passionate about life again and not so Debbie Downer and not so regimented like me, where I think by, I want to say 25, I was like, well, I don't have kids. I had a partner, but it didn't feel right. And like I'm reflecting on, I'm almost 29 years old, and I'm still not there yet. And I kind of get down about it, but I realized that it might come in the future, it might not, but you always have that passion. You always can volunteer with kids. If you can't have kids, you can always make music a side project. If you have to pay the bills with a quote-unquote boring job that's not really creative, but it pays really well. You gotta strike that balance of okay, so I'm hitting this milestone mark of 29 years old. I'm almost a new decade in my life. What do I want for my 30s? What do I want to remember my 30th year as being? Or my 29th year as being? Do I want to remember it as just the same old run-of-the-mill life, or do I want to spice it up and realize that, hey, it was everything that I wanted it to be? So I encourage you guys to just write down your childhood dreams. Write down the mistakes that you've made. Write down the successes that you've accomplished. Write down what you want to accomplish in the next year. Write down what you want to see yourself being. And it doesn't have to be creative. It can be I want to go to med school so that I can make cures for what is going on in the world. I want to start my own business, grooming dogs, or just take that childlike mind and kind of reboot it again and figure out what you can carry over into your adult life now and go from there. Just make it a better 10 years than what you had the first 20 years of your life. Make it better than the next 20 years of your life. I feel like everybody's time is now, because we're all trying to figure out our life path. We're all trying to navigate new scenarios. I think now we should try to remember our roots. And just grow from them. And in the next episode, I want to talk to you guys about how you deal with barriers and boundaries, and the way that you can spin it to being a happy thing, how you can spin it to fuel your passion for certain advocacies, how you can fuel it so that you can reach more people like me with my podcast. Like, I feel, well, I'm not going to get too much into it, so I don't want to spoil it, but it'll be a really good episode. And yeah, I just want to tell you guys what this schedule is going to be like. So I'm going to post 2 today for my birthday week, just to catch up, because yesterday I was kind of down and out for the whole day, so I'm gonna crank out 2 of these, and then I'm going to probably send them out real time today, and yeah, and then we'll start on Monday just being like, okay, here's the next topic, which will probably be my life after the downfalls, my life coming through to the other side, and how I've dealt with that, and just how my life's evolved over this amount of time. So this scheduling is gonna be kind of off for me, but I'm gonna do my famous outro. But I hope you guys tune in and get some value out of it. And if not, I'm really just doing this for me, so I can look back a year from now and be like, hey, remember when I was 29 and leading up to my week? Remember when I was 28 and leading up to my 29th? Let's do that again and see how much I've learned over the year. So yeah. So that's the end of this episode. But as always, I want to shout out my friend Minnie Minchino. She does a vlog type gaming style channel. She's a wonderful, wonderful human being. She talks a lot about gaming. She does let's plays, but she also does like this kind of content through her mini casts. So you should go check her out on Discord, and tell her that the Ability Warriors Leader sent you, and I think I forgot to do that intro, so sorry about that, but I will definitely do that for the next episode. But yeah, just keep to your roots. That's the main takeaway of this episode. Just keep to your roots and don't let anybody sway you if you want to get back to where you were and get back to that gleam in your eye. It doesn't matter. So, on that note, be true to yourself, stick to your roots, and I will see you all later on today because I'm gonna do a double feature. So, I will see you later on today, and I hope you guys enjoy this week of fabulous content. Alright, so don't miss out on the double feature, and I will talk to you all soon. And your Ability Warriors leader is now out.